Good afternoon.
Dude, I'm serious. What a crazy week, man. I don't know about you, but this has been the week it's been a challenge. Let's call it what it is, man. It really has. And I think it leads to our conversation. I mean, you and I were talking about this earlier the other day. We were like, you know what? We are definitely in
Tough market.
I think we really are. It's kind of crazy. I wouldn't call it so much a housing crisis, but I've not been in this kind of a marketplace where, unfortunately, interest rates continue to move up, which is a challenge. Number one, right? Number two, the availability of affordable houses, which to me is houses under 400,000, is not growing that dramatically. Number two, number three, the condition of the houses. Brian, the stuff we're seeing, it's like I'd be embarrassed to put this house on the market. You know what I mean? But people putting stuff out there needs so much work, and I think they still have that perception of 2021. Where they thought they put the house on the market and then bam, it's gone. You know what I mean? That's not the market we're in anymore. So I think there's what I call, you ready for this one? A crisis of faith. And what I mean by that is faith in the housing industry, understanding where values are going, understanding how the market is still strong, understand the limited supply, understand the long-term impact of housing in general, understanding the long-term impact of rents. So I'm looking at the marketplace saying, you know what? People are listening too much to the junk that's on the internet. Let's call it what it is, right? And they're all saying, oh, the market's going to crash. And I keep waiting for it to happen. And, it's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Hasn't happened yet, has it?
No. I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I would say I don't know if they've necessarily lost faith in the housing market. I think that we're in an affordability crisis. And I think that if you were to measure the affordability index, where it's like the median household of an American versus the median home sales price, it's now unbalanced. It's more unbalanced than it ever has been. It's sort of hanging right in the same slot though. It's been the same since like 2022, but it's legitimate. Like the cost of a house is now, and it's not even just in America. It's in Canada. It's in all of Europe. It's basically all over the West. There's a lot of different things you could attribute it to.
Right.
I would say one of them might be sort of this environmental thing where they've made the cost of materials go up. They've also sort of made it where they don't want you to build a house unless you have a neighborhood that has a rainwater pond and you've done an environmental study and you have they now want everybody to be on sewer, no more septics. So they've really made building a house very, very challenging. Like,
Well, it's gotten very, very expensive.
expensive is
Yeah,
probably a better word.
it's
Yeah.
insane what's happened. I mean, and you could see that when you look at the new construction. You say, this builder's building a new house, 3,000 square feet, but it's $900,000. But I can buy a resale that same 3,000 square feet, right, for $600,000.
Yeah.
And I think it's supply and demand, it's materials, it's permits,
Yeah.
it's labor, it's cost of land. I mean, it all factors in play.
It does.
Yeah, and I think yeah.
So
Go
what
ahead.
you're not seeing is, and I mean literally not seeing, is anybody building a $400,000 house or even a $500,000 house. So all the new construction, you're right, is seven, 800, $900,000. So you have a increasing population. You have a fair amount of demand and not enough houses to fill the spot, which puts pressure on house prices. House
Yep.
prices are now extremely high and just generally unaffordable. So the way I always sort of look at it is buyers are not happy. They're just very frustrated because they feel like they've now donated a kidney in order to be able to buy this house and that they're going to be, house poor for the next
Yeah,
20 years until their income
upside
catches up.
down. I mean,
Yeah.
they're concerned, and I get it. I mean, statistically proven that that's not the case. If we look at the long-term trends, it's not the case at all. Could there be some adjustment short-term? Of course, there's no question about that. But you nailed a really good point. You said, the high end, the single families. Brian, the damn townhouses.
Yeah.
$500,000, $600,000 for a townhouse.
Yeah.
And condos, the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
3, 4, $500,000 for condos. And then with condos, you get the condo fee and then the special, assessments.
Condo
So
fees have gone up a lot too, by the way.
They really have. So I think overall, there is a crisis in the housing area. It really comes down to affordability. And we've got to return to more of a creative strategy, if you will, to find a way to address what's going on in the marketplace. I think it's all it comes down to.
I don't know of any solutions. All the government solutions, we've done podcasts on this in the past. They don't they don't offer any real solutions that you and I thought were going to change anything. What really needs to happen is what is happening, which is you and I were just talking before this about the housing stats. You want to go over the housing stats for the state of Maryland?
Let's jump in, man. You got them up?
Yeah. So the main one that I look at is that the median sales price is up 2.2% year over year from 2026, and that's year to date. So that's all the houses that sold from January through July, and then added them all up, subtracted, divided, came up with a median sales price up 2.2. Well, inflation is up 3.4. So in reality, house prices not literally are going down, but they're going down a little bit just based on the inflation being higher than the increase in the sales price of a house. The other thing that you have to look at is income. I didn't pull that number up before this podcast, but what you need is income to go up faster than the median sales price of houses in order to be able to bridge the gap a little bit.
And I don't see that happening right now in our marketplace.
Yeah. So I feel like that you hear all these different scenarios in which there's going to be a housing crisis or a correction, or there's a crisis, all this stuff. I don't see a crisis. I don't see a correction. I see stagnation. I see that unless something drastic changes, good or bad, I don't see anything changing.
Well, I will tell you that, buyers are asking for closing help. Buyers are more motivated. I see sellers willing to pay closing help.
Yeah.
I do see a rise in FHA 203Ks, buying a house and being able to wrap in the cost of rehabbing the house itself. So I see that going on all the time right now.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've got 2 of them in process right now. One's doing $150,000 in rehab, and one's doing $60,000 in rehab. And the 60 is a townhouse, give you an idea, right? And then the 150 is a single family. So I'm seeing the onslaught, if you will, or the coming back, if you will, the wave of 2 or 3Ks. I'm seeing, this is crazy, but a lot of requests on reverse mortgages for purchasing a home. And I was like, because I got a client right now and she's 65, and she said, Tim, she said, I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to net about $300,000. I want to buy into a 55 and over community, but I cannot afford a mortgage and the 55 and over assessment fees, and then still have the utilities and everything else. And I said, why don't you just do a reverse? Do you really care about passing something on to your kids? And she was like, no, not really. I got 2 kids. I took care of them. They don't have any, child care. They don't have any college expenses. I set them all up the right way up front.
We could go down a whole new rabbit hole in that idea.
I mean, it's an option. But so, she's going to buy a house. She's going to sell her home. She's going to buy a house. And so she's going to sell something that's going to be affordable, home run, right? She's going to buy a house, not have a mortgage payment. All she got to pay is their taxes and insurance. Honestly, it's kind of a win-win.
Unless you're her kids, but. No.
Well, okay, did the kids... So here's the problem. Here's where I'm going to focus to you. Did the kids contribute to mom's and dad's wealth creation? The answer is no. So why are they entitled to an inheritance?
I think that a good way to look at this is that parents should be able to invest back into their children to help prop them up in life.
Yeah, and that's what they did in the very beginning. They got their free college living expenses all the way up till they're 22, then they're launched.
Yeah, I mean, there is this idea in the Bible that you sort of send down generational wealth
Sure.
for your children. If it was like a choice that I could make where it was an equivalent choice where, like I would try to do it. I would try to I would try to have money for my children. We can get on this whole thing too about like whether or not, you know, parents should help children buy their
Sure.
first house,
Okay.
whether or
Okay.
not children should or parents should
Yep.
help children start a business early in life, or whether they should wait
Yep.
until they die and their children are 50 some years old and they inherit the money then, where they're already set up in life and they don't necessarily need the money.
Right.
To me, it would be better. And if I had, matter of fact, you and I were on a settlement the other day where a guy basically bought his daughter a house.
Yep.
And some people might look at that and say, you know what, why, she's, whatever, why should she have to do that? We just got done saying it's almost impossible for a family. Now, this,
To buy a house, right?
just had kids, like can't work right now. The
Yep.
husband's, working, but it's very hard to provide for
And they could handle the payment,
yeah.
but they couldn't demonstrate it on paper.
But even then, like
You know what I
the
mean?
father decided that I'm going to, help my kids out and I'm going to
Sure.
contribute a significant amount of money on the down payment in order to keep the payment down. People might have different opinions about this, but I would say that if you were to go back 500 years, 1500 years,
Right.
it would be probably more likely that parents would be more willing if they had the means. Most people didn't always have the means, but if they did, to be able to set their children up early in life and to be willing and able to, you take the story of the prodigal son. I mean, that was kind of a weird concept to us. You can take your inheritance now, and the father agreed to it. He sold the land and let his son
Yeah.
take the money. And that was like pre-established. It was like when the story was told,
Oh,
people
sure.
understood what it meant.
Oh, yeah.
That children were entitled to an inheritance.
Right.
And I think that in some ways, maybe we've gotten into a place where there's a bit of, they call it the me generation, which is the baby boomers. Might
Sure.
be yourself included in that generation, Tim. I am a Generation X. That maybe maybe people just a little bit older than you, probably like you're like on the other end of it, but
I'm
there,
still a
there-
youngster, man. I'm not. Yeah, you keep thinking I'm an old dude. I'm like, what the hell is that all about?
no,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to figure out which generation. So I would say that there was this idea that that particular generation did somewhat run up the national debt to $40 trillion and spent the money and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
what are we inheriting? So if you were to look at it from a national level, is our generation inheriting $40 trillion in savings that we can then, protect our future with, or are we inheriting $40 trillion in debt that we are now strapped with? That you spent all the money and now you're gonna go on and you have your nice pensions
Sure.
and retirements and 401ks, and we're now strapped with figuring out how to pay this debt off. I feel like that wasn't a good way to do it.
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I hate the amount of debt that we are carrying now,
Yeah.
and I think there's no accountability, and I think there's no restrictions placed on Congress.
Yeah.
I think they just have an unlimited budget. I'm like, you guys got to stop. It just doesn't make sense, guys.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what we're inheriting, and that's what the next generations are inheriting. So I would say I don't love that idea. On the other hand, if you looked at it this way, in order for this person to be able to buy a house, she had to do this reverse mortgage in order not to be a burden on her children, so
Sure.
that she could live independently, which maybe she wants to, maybe her kids want her
Right.
to. And this is
Sure.
the best way to do it. In some sense, that's a way of her, taking that windfall that she had from selling her house and investing it in a way that she doesn't become a burden to her family. Well, another thing that we are seeing, Tim, that's a sort of a result of all this, is families are moving back in together, and you're seeing multi-families
Oh, yeah.
living together more and more and more. And they just passed a law in Maryland. What my suspicion is that the local governments will find a way to subvert it. But didn't they pass a law in the state where it says that anybody's allowed to have an accessory building as living space on their property?
Yep, that was, and that definitely came out. The biggest question is, the county's going to come back and put restrictions on it because they're going to say it's school impact. They're going to say it's facilities impact. They're going to say we should be charging more. I mean,
There
you
is
know,
already that, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
in Calvert County, I want to say that there's a $13,000 impact fee if you build a house and 8,000 for an accessory apartment. I think that's what it is, or that's
It's
what it used to
it's
be.
22.5 to build a house in freaking Charles, dude. It's nuts. It really is.
$22,000.
And
Even if you don't
yep.
send your kids to school, like maybe myself who homeschools their kids. Well,
Maybe
I get,
maybe you're 55 and over, but if you're not buying in a 55 and over community, guess what? You're still going to pay that fee to help build the schools. Now, there is some, here's the reasoning behind it. I want you to think about this. You ready? They collect the impact fee to do three things. Okay, number one, they're building better schools, putting money back into the school system. That means you got better citizens, hopefully, in the county.
sure. Yeah.
Okay, but more importantly, good schools typically equals good housing value.
Yeah. You're
Because
right.
you and I both know you can have a beautiful home, but if it's in a shitty school system, but if you got a nice house and it's in a great school system,
True
right?
story. True story.
So, I look at the 22.5 and I say, no, you're really giving an investment into your long-term value. It's just painful as shit, the way they do it. I'd rather them say, look, you know what, we're not going to add an extra $22,500, which is like an extra $2,500 a year, and they can check on the interest for 10 years. I'd rather them just say, look, it's an extra $100 for the life of the deal. And now you've paid for it. It is what it is. It's done. It's over with.
You're just saying tack it on the mortgage for 30 years, but then if they sell in 10, they don't recoup that money fast enough.
It doesn't matter. You know, 100. Then guess what?
You
And
could just increase
it's
property
passed on.
taxes. Just
Yeah,
increase property taxes
about
$100.
$100. Yeah, exactly right. So that's probably the better scenario than hitting them with this huge freaking impact fee, right? Which, by the way, used to be financed in the sale price. They can't do it anymore because the house got too damn expensive to build. So
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot to say for that.
Yeah,
Going
you're
back.
100% right about that, by the way, because what you're now doing is making it harder to build a new house, and we
Yeah,
do
you
have
can't do it. It is very, very
places.
difficult. Yep, correct.
Yeah, so I think the answer to all this, Tim, is there's no solutions that are
No.
easy. There's no solutions that are like completely
Yeah.
evident that this is the easiest way to fix it. The easiest way to fix it would be incentivize 500,000 and under new construction houses. You'd have to open up the regulations for building on land. Most of the land around here is locked up in different types of trusts
Sure.
and protections and tax shelters that are not easy to get out. They're not easy to get out of. But I don't think there's a will to do it. I don't think anywhere you go around here, you're going to find anybody who wants to have more houses. So I think we're kind of stuck where we're at, and we're just going to have to deal with it. So here's my solution. My solution is to adjust your expectations and say, you know what? Maybe it's in your mind. You can say this. It's not fair. Okay.
Sure.
You can say, I'm not going to have as nice of a life as my parents did. Okay. I'm going to have much less of an easy time buying a house than my grandparents did. Okay. Roger that. However, life is life. And if you were to say 200 years ago, how hard was it to buy a house? What was the percentage of homeowners 200 years ago? Probably like 5 or 10%, something like that. And where were they living in? 600 square foot houses that everybody slept
Well,
on the floor.
but you got to understand, if you look back, the average size of a home 40 years ago was,
Yeah, 1,200 square foot.
yeah, and the average size today
Yeah,
is.
it's 2,500 square foot.
So go back to the other piece of the pie, which is maybe, I mean, I like some of the stuff that they've done in Japan. They're building these houses, but they're building much smaller houses that are more functionable. I mean, you don't need a big ass long hallway to do all this. You don't need to have a huge sunken tub. You don't have to have some of the
It's not the
amenities put in
tub. It's the
place.
it's the dining rooms, and it's that
Yeah.
one sitting room on half these houses that are built where you come in the front door and it's either on the right or the left. That sitting room that never
What the
gets
hell is
used.
that? Yeah,
And
nobody. You got to buy furniture for it. Number one. Number two, you got to make it look nice all the time. And realistically, at the end of the day, nobody uses it.
yeah,
It's like scrap that, make that into an office. Make it into, that is the family room. That's it. We got the family room, we got the kitchen, we got the, eating center, we got a bathroom. That's the first floor. Second floor, we got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, be done with it. You know what I mean? Make it more affordable. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, when I bought my first house, I bought a little Cape Cod. That thing was this is nuts. That Cape Cod that I bought was 900 square feet for the first floor.
Mine was 960.
So you see what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then literally the
960
second
square feet of finished space.
the second floor was an attic that I literally moved into. My wife and I, we sheetrocked it. We put insulation in, then we sheetrocked it up there. Then we put stairway up going up to it. That's where we stayed. I mean, then we
Why
put
did you do
dormers.
that? Why did you do
Because
that?
I rented the first 2 floors out because
Look at Tim. Look at Tim's
out.
cooking over here, bro.
Because I bought my
go.
first house in 1984, and my interest rate was 18%, and it was an FHA 1-year ARM. Okay, let's call it what it is, man.
Holy moly.
So back to the story. Things are affordable if you take the right perspective, if you set your expectations correct, you recognize it's your first house, and you work with it, you roll with it, you know what to ask for. You have an agent that has a little bit of common sense and says, look, we can do this. We can get this. We can go ahead and get new washer and dryers. We can, whatever, you can put a stackable. I mean, there's so much you can do, Brian. Think about it, man. So yes, we have a housing crisis, but that doesn't mean that we have a life crisis. It just means we have to change our perspective and take an approach differently to different things. I'm good with it, man.
Amen. Move in with your family and 2 people buy a house together. That's another one.
That's another home run. Exactly right.
I got the parents and the kids are both selling their houses and they're going to move in together.
And you know what? The parents love it because they have somebody to rely on. God forbid, knock on wood, shit hits the fan, right? And on this side of the coin, the kids, they got kids, and guess what? Someone can be there to watch them, and they can go on vacations. They can share. They don't need to have 2 dogs. They can have one. Rover's on this side on Tuesdays and on this side on Wednesdays. I'm making my point of the matter is I think that's where we're going, and I think we're going to have a lot more shared utilization, a lot more ADUs. And I think that's going to be actually good for. You ready for this one? The family unit.
Amen, brother. That is how we're going to end this podcast, Tim. That is actually a better outcome. It's a better outcome if we bring families back together and everybody starts living together again. You have the grandparents help raise the grandchildren.
I mean, that's huge, Brian. I don't have latchkeys kids anymore with the key to the house coming to a vacant house. Don't have to worry about intruders coming into the home. I don't have to worry about mom and dad falling down and breaking a hip and nobody sees them in 3 days. I mean, Brian, this is the world we're living in. You know what? Probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right, brother. Listen, man, you have a phenomenal day. Let's get out there and kill it.